This is not a story from fiction, it's the harsh truth. A young boy born in a humble neighborhood on the outskirts of Medellín grew up to become one of the most infamous and richest criminals in history, nearly crossing over into politics. World leaders feared him, while many poor Colombians saw him as a hero. How could that happen? Pablo Escobar was born on December 1, 1949, in a small town near Medellín. His family was modest. His father worked as a small-scale farmer, and his mother was a schoolteacher struggling to provide for the family. From an early age, Pablo showed signs of ambition, but unlike other kids dreaming of football stardom or university degrees, his aspirations were shaped by the harsh reality around him. He wanted to rise above poverty at any cost. Unlike the romantic idea that he dreamed of becoming a millionaire, Pablo's early years were marked by a practical determination to survive. In the 1950s Colombia, opportunities for boys like him were scarce. The country was dominated by foreign interests, especially American corporations controlling agriculture and mining. The gap between the rich and poor was immense, and social mobility was nearly impossible. Young Pablo found his first ways to make money in the informal economy. He started by selling candy and small goods in the neighborhood, but soon realized that petty trade alone wouldn't be enough. Collecting discarded scrap metal and parts from abandoned cars, which he sold to local workshops. This was a risky but profitable side hustle. He learned early on how to negotiate, persuade, and sometimes intimidate. By his teenage years, Escobar had developed a reputation for being fearless and cunning. He caught the attention of a local smuggling ring run by a man named Carlos Rivas. Rivas was not just a petty criminal, he coordinated shipments of contraband goods, from electronics to liquor, across Colombia's borders. Seeing Pablo's sharp mind and boldness, Carlos took him under his wing. Escobar's role expanded quickly. He began coordinating small-scale smuggling operations, moving goods hidden in trucks and buses through checkpoints. Unlike other gangs that relied purely on violence, Pablo focused on building networks of informants and corrupt officials to protect their shipments. He understood that subtlety and connections were as valuable as brute force. One of the most unusual tactics his crew employed was using inconspicuous vehicles for smuggling, like old delivery vans painted in unusual, eye-catching patterns. Witnesses would report strange, colorful vans, but the details were so inconsistent that law enforcement couldn't pin down their routes. At just 21, Escobar orchestrated a bold kidnapping of a mid-level government official accused of exploiting rural workers. Unlike the typical ransom cases, Escobar's group forced the official to sign public letters promising to reform his practices and pay compensation to workers. The official was released unharmed, but the message was clear: Escobar was willing to enforce justice in his own way, gaining local respect. This episode earned him a nickname, El Zorro, the Fox, symbolizing his cleverness and strategic mind. Unlike the brutal killers in other gangs, Escobar's style mixed intimidation with cunning. Meanwhile, Colombia was becoming a hotspot for new illegal markets. The 1970s saw the rise of cocaine as a global commodity. Escobar recognized its potential early on, but Colombia had limited coca plantations then, so he partnered with farmers in Peru and Bolivia, investing in expanding their crops. He built labs in remote areas of Antioquia to refine raw paste into cocaine powder. His operation faced setbacks. A major shipment was intercepted in 1975, leading to a crackdown by Colombian authorities. Pablo was arrested but released within months due to lack of evidence and influence over local officials. Rumors swirled that Escobar had secretly financed community projects to buy loyalty, including clinics and soccer fields. Escobar lived by a new principle: dinero o bala, money or a bullet. His reputation grew: either pay him or suffer severe consequences. His business grew exponentially, and by age 27, Escobar was managing millions in cash flow, creating a vast network and confronting the system. As Escobar expanded his operations, he transformed his gang into a sophisticated criminal enterprise with specialized units for cultivation, production, transport, bribery, and enforcement. His influence extended beyond Medellín into neighboring regions. But unlike other criminal leaders, Pablo invested heavily in his community. He launched programs to improve infrastructure in poor neighborhoods, building water systems, libraries, and sports clubs. For many residents, he was a benefactor who offered what the government neglected. At the same time, Escobar enforced strict discipline within his organization and in territories under his control. His dinero o bala policy was ruthlessly applied. Traitors or competitors faced swift and often public retribution, but he preferred to resolve conflicts through negotiations and alliances when possible. By the early 1980s, Escobar's Medellín Cartel controlled an estimated 80% of the cocaine export market to the United States and Europe. His cartel's infrastructure was immense: coca farms, multiple clandestine labs, fleets of planes and boats, and networks of corrupt officials ensuring safe passage. He had lawyers, politicians, and even judges in his pocket. Escobar helped politicians gain office, expecting protection and favorable legislation in return. These alliances made it nearly impossible for the government to dismantle his operation. However, rival cartels, especially the Cali cartel, challenged his dominance. This competition sparked a wave of violence in Colombia. Bombings, assassinations, and mass killings became daily news. Escobar was a master of public relations. He portrayed himself as a man of the people, the poor's protector against corrupt elites. He financed scholarships, housing projects, and cultural events. His image was carefully crafted, making him a folk hero in many areas. The Colombian government, pressured by international partners, intensified their fight against the cartels in the late 1980s. The conflict escalated into an open war. Police and military operations targeted cartel strongholds, but corruption and fear hindered their effectiveness. Escobar responded with terror campaigns, assassinating judges, politicians, and police officials who opposed him. Bombings in public places aimed to destabilize the government and intimidate citizens. The fall and lasting legacy. By the early 1990s, international pressure increased dramatically. The United States provided Colombia with billions in aid and support to combat drug trafficking. Many of Escobar's former allies turned informants. In 1993, after months on the run, Pablo Escobar was located in a middle-class neighborhood in Medellín. A police operation ended his life, marking the collapse of his empire. But the impact of his reign is still felt. He revolutionized drug trafficking, blending violence, politics, and social influence in a way never seen before. His methods created new criminal models copied worldwide. Colombia's battle against drug cartels continues, shaped by Escobar's legacy of corruption, violence, and paradoxical public support. His story is a cautionary tale, a blend of ambition, brutality, and the blurred line between criminality and power. Despite his ruthless criminal empire, Pablo Escobar invested millions of dollars in building entire neighborhoods for the poor. One of his most famous projects was the construction of Barrio Pablo Escobar in Medellín, a community with hundreds of homes, schools, and sports facilities. This massive investment earned him deep loyalty from thousands of residents who saw him as a provider where the government had failed. This paradox, a violent kingpin and a generous benefactor, is what makes Escobar's legacy so complex and unforgettable. If you want to see the second part, leave a comment below and subscribe to the channel.